Hey guys, welcome to what I hope to call War Claim to Fame, where I look at the frames, I tell you what it does, and what it's not good at. Today's Warframe is none other than everyone's favorite edgelord, Nekros. Ah yes, Nekros. My favorite overall pick, and no, it's not because I'm an edgelord, but in fact, I kinda like rares. And Neki here helps with that in spades. A solo farmer's wet dream, and a horrible pick if you're on stealth missions, Nekros controls the dead and the chances of you getting that Hydroid chassis you wanted. Nekros' passive is fairly simple. For every enemy killed within 10 meters of Nekros, he gains 5 points of health. Not horribly useful and relatively unnoticeable unless you're actually living in your health bar, but it provides some fairly good sustain, and it also helps if you're meleeing a guy to death, in which case, go nuts. Nekros' first ability is Ethereal Boxer. Nekros punches a target for a cost of 25 energy in a range of at least 20 to 50 meters at max, dealing 100 to 500 impact damage at max, and it was so hard in fact that the target's soul flies out of their body and is now a projectile coming at the enemy. Hitting everyone behind him and exploding when making contact with a hard surface, it deals 50 impact damage flat. Damage is affected by ability strength, and cast range is affected by ability range mods. Enemies hit by both damage sources are ragdolled and stunned for 7 seconds, and double damage if you hit a headshot. Despite having an audio cue for this ability, it is completely silent, and if the target survives, he's immediately alerted with anyone hit by the soul itself. This ability can be cast while reloading. Overall, not a bad ability, good for setting up finishers and getting rid of butchers and scorpions, but beyond that, it's just a stun and not good for much else in my opinion. Nekros' second ability is Spooks Mackenzie. For 75 energy, Nekros scares 7 to 20 enemies at max, in a range of 5 to 15 meters at max, for 10 to 25 seconds at max, and reduces their armor by 5% to 20%. Armor reduction is affected by ability strength mods, and distance is affected by ability range mods, and time period is affected by ability duration mods. It prioritizes targets not spooked and stacks when you recast it. Spooks doubles the armor reduction, and bosses are not affected by it, and Exemnis units' abilities are not negated. The second ability is good for just wave clear in general, and just keeps scaring people, they'll probably die faster. Third ability is the reason you bought the Warframe, isn't it? That's right, Desecrate. Nekros channels for 1.8 seconds, and after the channel, dissolves a corpse and re-rolls the target's drop table for bonus loot. It's 10 energy for every corpse dissolved in a range of 10 to 25 meters at max, and boosts high rarity drop percentages by 22% to 54% at max, and will consume 1 corpse a second. The ability is affected by ability range, not strength. So long as you have the energy, this ability will continue to work after toggling it. The energy spent is affected by efficiency mods, and Nekros can move freely while it's on. And enemies that explode are not affected by it, but vaporized targets are so long as it was toggled ahead of time. Jokes aside, this is Nekros' best ability next to his ultimate, and it's probably the reason you have the frame to begin with. The ability is good, but it has its own caveats, because you can spend 10 energy and still get nothing because no drops are factored into the game's drop tables, or just outright lag. 2 bosses aren't affected by it, Sprague and Venkra, to be specific, and those 2 are concerned about despawn times. Just look at the screen. You'll get your despawn times. P.S. Enemies sliced in half count as 2 corpses. P.S.S. If there are 4, it's 4 corpses. P.S.S.S. Excavations and Inar's sandstorms are affected by it, so get digging. Nekros' last ability is The Grineer have an army, we have an edgelord. Nekros summons 2 to 7 enemy spirits from his last 20 kills, prioritizing the strongest enemy killed by Nekros and his kills only. The spirits retain their original stats and level, but lose 3% of their maximum health per second, but boosts health by 15 to 100% at max, shields by 15 to 100% at max, and damage by 25% to 150% at maximum. The copies will spawn randomly 10 meters away from Nekros. Percentages are affected by ability strength, and their life loss is affected by duration mods. This ability does not stack, but does rejuvenate the shadows and replaces whatever was killed on recast. Healers can heal the shadows as well, and teleport back to Nekros if left alone for too long. Enemies prioritize the shadows, and 50% of XP gained from the shades are passed to Nekros. Bosses, skates, and lashers cannot be brought back, but if one of the shades gets a kill, Nekros can bring them back as well. Host migration or death will destroy the shades. Shadows of the Dead. I love this ability so much. It's so useful and can wreck so many different faces in every situation it's in. The only problem with the ability is it leaves you wide open while you're casting it, because it has a long channel duration and none of the shades attack until the animation is complete and all the shadows are summoned. If it's time to bring out the dead, go run off somewhere and then let your defense mission turn to Cinco de Mayo. So that is Nekros, the edge frame. While not bad, he does have two main uses of going wide with his shadows or getting all the things with Desecrate. The missions you should bring Nekros on are Extermination, Interception, Survival, Capture, Excavation, and any sort of defense mission. The ability to just bring everyone back and cause mass chaos is just useful on these missions, and boosts to all drops, that ability just cannot be ignored. However, don't bring Nekros on any Arcwing missions, spy, sabotage, rescue, hijack, defection, or assassination missions. Whoa. Before everyone goes nuts for saying, don't bring him on any assassination missions, hear me out. Nekros isn't exactly a Rhino or a Mesa. He dies easily to direct focus fire, and unless you are willing to risk not finishing the mission, don't bring him. With that being said, this is my opinion. You don't have to listen to me. Go for it. But just a side note here, Nekros is very squishy, and even with mods, he is still very easy to kill. So just be careful. It's not hard to kill you, so just bear that in mind as you're charging towards that Bursa. Thank you guys very much for watching, and please tell me what you think. I'm not going to give you mod suggestions because it's your play style. I'm not going to tell you what to build, it's your frame. But with that being said, my name is Trapixium, and may the Lotus smile upon you. I'll see you next time.